Rio de Janeiro has always been a city of contrasts. Paradise and hell in the same zip code. On one side, the sunset gilding the Sea of Ipanema. On the other, the distant sound of gunfire echoing through the hills. But lately, something has changed. It's no longer just the usual violence. It's a different kind of chaos. Silenter, deeper, more hopeless. People feel it. You feel it when you step onto the streets. The suspicious gaze, the constant fear, the noise of helicopters mixed with funk music, the nervous laughter of those trying to live. In the middle of a war that never ended, Rio has always had a history of contrasts. But what we are seeing now is the collapse of an entire system. A system that was born crooked and that has been sustained by underhanded deals, bribes, and unspoken pacts between power and crime. When you start investigating what's really happening in Rio, you realize that drug trafficking isn't the sole villain in the story. It's just a symptom. Behind the armed factions, there are decades of political corruption, social neglect, and inequality. Drug trafficking grew in the gaps left by the state, and now the state can no longer fill the void it created. But what exactly is happening to Rio de Janeiro? Before becoming a stage for violence, Rio was once the heart of Brazil, and for a brief moment in history, it was the heart of the world. In 1808, when the Portuguese royal family fled Napoleon's troops and landed here, Rio ceased to be just a tropical colony and became the capital of the Portuguese Empire. Suddenly, a city of dirt roads and simple mansions found itself surrounded by nobles, carriages, orchestras, and libraries. The European elite mixed with the mixed-race population created something unique, a blend of royalty and survival. It was here that the first bank in Brazil, the first printing press, and the first Royal Theatre were born. It was the center of power, culture, and dreams, but also the largest slave port in the Americas. While the nobility drank tea in gilded salons, ships brought men and women in chains from Africa to build the marvelous city with blood and sweat. Rio de Janeiro was born beautiful and unequal. The contrast we see today was already there from the beginning. A city of luxury and misery, living side by side as if they were part of the same landscape. And perhaps that's why Rio is so fascinating, because it has always been a mirror of Brazil, brilliant on the surface, but full of scars just below. Behind the iconic landscapes and international tourism lies a complex reality marked by social inequality, precarious infrastructure, structural deficiencies, and high rates of violence. Rio de Janeiro faces serious structural problems stemming from decades of mismanagement and a lack of long-term planning. Public transportation is one of the biggest bottlenecks. Overcrowded trains and buses, an insufficient subway system, and a lack of integration between modes of transport. In addition, the aging road network and the disorderly growth in the number of vehicles cause chronic congestion, pollution, and loss of productivity. Another critical point is basic sanitation. Even with large investments in recent decades, there are still entire communities without sewage collection or adequate treatment, which directly impacts public health and pollutes the lagoons and beaches, symbols of the city. The precarious urban infrastructure is also reflected in weakened public services, such as overburdened schools and hospitals. Many public facilities are deteriorated and maintenance is insufficient. During periods of heavy rain, failures in the drainage system cause recurring floods, especially in poorer areas. The favelas of Rio de Janeiro arose from the intersection of several historical factors, primarily the lack of affordable housing for the poor population, which led them to occupy irregular areas. Two crucial events were the end of the abolition of slavery, which left freed slaves without support, and the return of soldiers from the War of Canudos, who did not receive what they had been promised. This group settled on a hill and gave rise to Morro da Favela, the first favela in Brazil. In 1980, the favelas began to grow uncontrollably. Thousands of people fleeing drought, unemployment, and hunger crowded onto the hillsides, invisible to the eyes of the government. Without schools, without security, without opportunities. And when the state disappears, someone else takes its place. Drug traffickers began distributing food, gas, even toys for Children's Day. They created a kind of parallel government, but along with the power came the bloodshed. Today, Rio is a divided city, where a boy can be born in one neighborhood and grow up dreaming of the sea, or be born on the hillside and grow up learning to duck when he hears a helicopter. Drug trafficking has become more sophisticated. The factions have become corporations. They have hierarchies, strategies, communication systems, and even international alliances. And on the other side, the government. Politicians who divert money from education, health, and security. Officers who sell weapons to the very enemy they should be fighting. Police operations that cost lives but change nothing. Because the problem in Rio has never been just crime. It's the marriage between crime and power. An old marriage that everyone pretends not to see. In recent decades, Rio has become a battlefield. Factions fighting for control of territories. Militias expanding their dominion under the guise of protecting the population. And in the midst of all this, the average citizen trying to survive between two forces that are more alike than they realize. The militias were born from police officers who, tired of the system, decided to create their own. Today they control entire neighborhoods, charging security fees, dominating gas, transportation, even the vote. And the state has lost control. Or perhaps it chose to lose it. Meanwhile, Rio continues to sell its image to the world. The city of samba, carnival, football, Christ the Redeemer. But behind the cameras, there is a daily war that no one wants to see. There are mothers who lose their children without knowing if it was a stray bullet or a targeted one. There are children who grow up believing that the police are the enemy. And there are police officers who die without knowing why they were fighting. Rio has become a perfect metaphor for Brazil, a place of infinite beauty and profound pain, a mirror of our contradictions. But perhaps there is still hope, because Rio is also made of resilience, of artists, teachers, volunteers, young people who defy the imposed destiny, people who believe that the favela can produce more than tragedies. There are schools that teach technology amidst the gunfire, projects that transform weapons into musical instruments, and people who, every day, choose love, even surrounded by hatred. This is the true revolution of Rio, the one that is born from below, silently, without headlines. A revolution made of people who still believe. What's happening to Rio de Janeiro is not just the collapse of a city, it's a reflection of an entire country trying to find itself again. Rio isn't dying, it's screaming. Screaming for justice, for dignity, for peace. And perhaps when we all finally hear that scream, the marvelous city will once again be more than just a postcard. Because in the end, Rio is like Brazil. Too beautiful to give up, and too wounded to continue the same way. I'm Cyrus, and this is the story of Rio that still insists on living.